Here it's Eddie Matthews with another Business Booster brought to you by the Stratford and District Chamber of Commerce. And for many, working from home is the new normal. And some may not be returning to their office anytime soon. What do you need to work from home these days? Joining us to talk a bit about what you'll be needing is Dan Kane from GoTech here in Stratford. Dan, it's always good to see you. How are you?
Doing well. Yourself, Eddie?
I'm terrific. Probably not as busy as you've been since COVID started. A lot of people have been moving their offices around. How has this been for GoTech?
So the first 2 weeks, as you said, everyone had to come up with ways to work from home and work remotely and do what they need to do to keep the lights on. So we were really busy at the start. And then everyone decided that, you know what, let's take stock and pull back a little bit. So we had some slow days. We had a few days where I was sending myself emails to make sure that was all still working. But we've now gotten kind of back into the swing of things, and it's getting closer to what we would expect for a July for us right now. So
yeah, I'd imagine anybody that's working from home is the first line for getting the economy going back, because some people say, I don't think I'm going to be going back to my office. When you're choosing a home office and a home office space, I guess there's a lot of things to remember to choosing, a location, close to relevant wiring, what equipment you're going to be needing, all those type of things that we really probably didn't take into consideration before this time.
Yeah, and certainly at the start, it was, okay, we just need to work. We're not really even concerned about comfort or the best possible solution. But now that we're starting to take a look at what does life look like a year from now? Lots of discussion of whether or not people are going to keep working from home even when they can get back to the office and splitting time that way. So now that the kind of critical time is out of the way, let's take a chance to step back and see what does it take to make a home office work really well. And amongst that is, first of all, things like just comfort, having a good office chair in the home. The kitchen chairs only work for so long. You need to get something that's adjustable, get up to the proper height for your monitors and things like that. From a hardware standpoint, looking at a second monitor maybe, or getting some productivity things in place that will really make you the most efficient that you can be for your time back and forth between the home office and the store or the other business locations.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point. Let's face it, most of us probably have our life stored on our cell phones. Now you need something more than just to be able to text back to the office. You need some good hardware and software. I need to ask you this, because I don't think it's practical to conduct all your business on a cell phone. What do you need aside from, as you say, a good comfy chair and a good desk? What do people need when it comes to a good monitor, a good computer? Do you go with a laptop or the desktop model? What would you, and I guess it comes down to your budget as well too, doesn't it?
It comes down to budget, and it comes down to really what you need out of the devices. So if you've already got a monitor and a keyboard and a mouse that you're happy with, then the most cost-effective way would be to put a tower in place for that situation. The towers, the benefit for those are a little bit less money than the laptops, but they are expandable as far as USB ports and data storage. So if you are somebody who does a lot of graphic images and you've got 4, 5, 6 USB devices that are connecting into your tower and you're storing terabytes of data, then the desktop PC is a better function. If you're somebody who's going to be going back and forth quite a bit to the office, there's some sales involved, or you just want the comfort of being able to move around the house out to the patio, then a laptop is a better fit. You sacrifice a little bit as far as the number of USB ports. You're typically limited to about 3 or 4 on a laptop. But if you're going right from scratch, you have to buy a brand new device anyway. The laptop actually works out a little bit less expensive because you're not dealing with getting a monitor and keyboard, mouse, and all that stuff, because it's with the laptop to start with.
Okay, stupid question, and I'm sure you get enough of these type. I guess there aren't any stupid questions anymore. If you've got the whole family working out of the house or playing out of the house, does the fact that everybody has their own device, will that have any bearing on your Wi-Fi or the amount of power that's being zapped out of your computer so you can do your work? Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
that's not a stupid question at all. That's People underestimate how many smart devices are kicking around their house. And even if you've got a family of two and one or two teenagers, you've got 9-10 devices easily that are taking Wi-Fi bandwidth out of the network. Pick a rainy day and 2 of the 4 people in the house are also watching separate things on Netflix. Your smart TVs are also drawing that bandwidth as well. So again, as we kind of get into what could possibly be a second wave, or when we look at working from home on an extended time, take this opportunity to look at maybe your service provider. Maybe this is a chance to bump up to a fiber connection. Also, take a look at your Wi-Fi itself in the home. Are there dead spots? There are Wi-Fi extenders that will extend the range of the Wi-Fi within the house. And also, you know what, this time of year, take the laptop out to the patio and do a little bit of work out there too. So again, we've got some time right now. People have taken a breath and are looking back at maybe some longer range plans. So just take a look to see what it would take to make the next step to make your home environment functional and enjoyable.
Yeah, the extenders, are they worth the investment?
They are definitely worth the investment. There are different levels of them. Some of them are just pure extenders, and that's kind of just like taking a weak signal and shouting it. Those aren't as good. The newer devices actually mesh together. So if you've got 3 of the access points in your house, they will actually go through, and as you move from point to point, your signal will seamlessly just jump to the next access point. So there is no dead zone as you go between.
Okay, and cameras. This is one thing that has been in short supply for a long time. Getting a good camera, if you are working from home, camera and the microphone that's included with it. But that's a tough one to get at times. And are all cameras created the same?
Definitely, they're not created the same. But as you mentioned, you're going to be hard pressed to actually choose the camera you want. You're going to get the camera that you can find, really. One option, though, and we talked a little bit about adding a monitor at home, possibly going to a second monitor for business productivity. Spend the extra few bucks to go with a monitor with the integrated camera and microphone in it. That's a huge help, and that's a spot that is still fairly decent availability on the monitor side. One thing that we were going to talk about on the monitors that I had made a note on was, when you're looking at a monitor, you want great color, you want obviously something that fits on your desk fairly well. Try to avoid going with the temptation to go with a monster 27-inch monitor, because it sounds great, especially when you're in the store or wherever you're looking. A 27-inch screen on a typical desktop is very tiring to look at. There's some eye strain and things like that. So you're better off, if you need the extra space, to go with 2 21, 24-inch monitors instead.
Okay, getting a good monitor. Do you need to look at other accessories, a printer, a copier, a good speaker phone, just in case you do have some audio problems? Are there any other things that we may not be thinking about as accessories that you would recommend?
Definitely go with a good headset. Logitech makes a great one. Something like that for when you're in a noisy environment definitely helps. The microphone quality is way better than it is on the laptop typically. Again, the full headset blocks out some sound. Also, if you do have the opportunity that you can work outside, the headset microphones will cancel out the wind as well. If you try to work on a laptop outside and you're on a Zoom call, the wind noise will be unbearable for the other people in the meeting. A little bit on the quality of the camera. A better solution is just to take a look at your environment. Make sure that you've got decent lighting. Your background is, is not distracting for the other people that might be in a Zoom meeting.
Okay, and with that, some people like to have a background of their favorite. It could be Tiger King. That seems to be the most popular one, but it's all these little effects now that people are getting used to looking at, aren't they?
Yeah. And the catchphrase of 2020 is going to be "you're muted." So
and you have to take that into account, because we've all heard horror stories of Zoom calls where somebody thought they were off camera and they weren't off camera, or their mic wasn't muted and something embarrassing has happened. So
yeah,
these are things you have to become familiar with.
Yeah, for sure.
The other thing that I think is important to look at, and you really want to invest some money, would be something like Surge Protector, or some way of backing up your files as well.
Yeah, so the backup is always important. It's extra important when we've now got people that are taking the data and moving it somewhere else. So if you're not in some sort of cloud solution where everyone has the most current version of the document, you need to come up with some sort of process where you're taking care of version control, so that Eddie, if you and I both go into the office on a day and take a copy of a spreadsheet somewhere, we need to make sure that the end customer gets the updated version with both of our changes on it, and we're not just working separately away.
Surge Protector, would you invest some good dollars into that?
Yeah, you know what? A decent surge protector is not very expensive. They're around the $100 mark for battery backup that will handle a typical desktop. So that's, that's money well worthwhile. The biggest thing is not so much the power dropping, it's that quick boom, boom hit where you get the two right away. That just eats up hardware, and the price of a power supply and possibly lost data on a hard drive, if it's a hard enough strike, is pretty small compared to the $90, $100 for a UPS. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point as well. Let's just go back 1 second, because I'd like to know the difference between having a spot to back up your files and also file security. Two different things?
Definitely two different things. So again, when everything happened on March 17th and people had to scurry and work from home, we went through and made sure that people could at least function from home. But now we need to take this opportunity to step back and really look at the security settings that we've got in place. So we need to take a moment to assess who needs what data. So obviously, if you're going to work from home, email is a must. Do you need file sharing? Do you need the ability to get to files that are on the server at work? Is there any software that isn't cloud-based? So if you work in an office or an environment where the program you use every day isn't cloud-based, you need to be able to get into the office to access that software. So make sure that we're now going back and closing all those doors, making sure that if we have to get remotely into an office, we're using a VPN, a virtual private network, to secure that only the right people even get to the door, let alone through it. The file sharing side of things, this might be an opportunity to get away from the file server and go to a cloud service. OneDrive from Microsoft, Google Drive. There's a few different options out there. Again, making sure that you've put all the protection in place that someone can't accidentally, when they mean to share a file, end up sharing a folder and compromising customer information.
Yeah. Does this mean more work for you? Because when you were at the office, you may have had someone that was involved in IT, and now you've got to do it on your own. Are you able to work remotely through somebody's computer now if they have any assistance needed?
Us personally?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a wide range of support tools available. Um, Again, when you're asking for remote support, make sure that you are the one who's initiating the call. Don't accept an incoming call from somebody who wants to do remote support for you. And when you're making that call out, make sure that it's to a trusted business partner in the community.
Yeah, yeah. And how do you watch out for scams when this has got to be so difficult for some people? And then even those that are experienced with computers, there are so many different scams out there right now.
That's the huge thing in the last little while. It used to be, 3, 4 years ago, the scam attempts were that it was somebody from a country whose uncle had died and he needed to get money out, and it was obvious that that was a thing. The new scams are sophisticated. They are using a little bit of social engineering to try to target you right off the hop. That things look right off the start. They don't get, there's no more spelling errors. They don't get the bank logos wrong anymore, things like that. And with the rapidly changing rules about COVID and social distancing and everything else that we need to come across, the scammers are good at this. They're taking that uncertainty and they're taking the need to act right away, and they're building that into their phishing attacks, where what they're asking for looks legitimate and it sounds legitimate in the times that we're in. So biggest thing on it is when you get something that says it needs to be acted on immediately, just step away from the desk for a minute, look through it. It doesn't matter how critical it is. 4 minutes isn't going to make the difference. So the big thing is just kind of do the sniff test on it and look at it. And does this sound legitimate? Is this something that would be coming to me? Or is this something that if it was coming to somebody in my corporation would be going to somebody else? The other part of it.
Should you save your pass? Sorry, I'm sorry about that, Dad. Should you save passwords? When it pops up at the top of the screen, do you want to save your password? Do you recommend that, or just make sure that you know what your password is going to be? Maybe write it down.
So this is one of those pros and cons type thing. The pro of not using any password management is that there's no place that your passwords are being synced and saved and anything like that. The downside of that is if you're not using a password management tool, I can almost guarantee you're reusing passwords. So reusing passwords is far more dangerous than using a password protection program or a password saving program. I personally have a password program that we use. But even within that, as much as I trust that tool, my banking passwords are just in my head. The key ones are not shared anywhere else. And the passwords that I do use are random and they're unique across platforms.
Okay, good advice. And before we let you go, you brought this up briefly, but since you're going to be working at home, you might as well have some good furniture to be using, whether it be a good chair, something that's going to be comfortable, maybe a table that moves up and down, the little cushions that you can get on your desk that prevents carpal tunnel. There's so many different things you can probably invest in now, isn't there?
Absolutely. You want to be as comfortable as you can. Also, this is a great opportunity to, especially if your business isn't strictly 9 to 5. If you've got the opportunity, go ahead and play with your schedule. For me personally, my creative time is in the morning. So if I need something that I need to work through and find solutions, it's early morning for me. Mid-afternoon is not as good for me. So that's when I jump back and get into paperwork and things like that. And if mid-afternoon for you is completely down, essentially wasted time, don't work in the afternoon. take the afternoon off, go do something else, and in the evening, after dinner, maybe jump in and do a couple hours then. I think there's going to be some pretty amazing opportunities just for how flexible we can be, and let's take advantage of this. Let's call it an opportunity that we've been given over the summer as we get through the next phase of COVID.
Yeah, I think we're going to be in this phase, at least working from home or remotely for a while. So folks, if you have any questions, give Dan a call. He's so good at this, and I'll give kudos out to you because we did a Zoom fundraiser for the Alzheimer's Society, and Dan was technical director and did an absolutely fantastic job. So if you're ever going to be doing the Oscars, you've got my vote, Dan.
Thanks, Eddie. I appreciate that.
If we do want to get a hold of you or Dennis or the staff from GoTech, how do we do so?
Through the website, gotech.ca, or give us a call at the shop, 519-508-4672.
And is the shop open for business?
Yeah, we're back to regular business hours, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5.
Okay. Once more for good luck, what's the website?
Gotech.ca.
Terrific. Dan, thank you. Can't thank you enough. Please be safe, and we'll talk again soon. We should give a shout out, Dennis Goforth. Happy birthday today.
Happy birthday, Dennis.
Dan Kane joining us. And if you've got any questions, please give Dan or Dennis a call at GoTech. I'm Eddie Matthews for the Stratford and District Chamber of Commerce.